And another evening was passing. It was midnight. Things were mostly peaceful around. No crazy snakes. No attackers at the minute. The homestead was quiet, except for Hamlet snoring, which I didn't really mind so much. When I woke up, back to the usual cleaning. Had to feed myself. I was rather starved. And some chess was in order. I was trying to get Hamlet to come join me. I think it's a bit out of his capacity though, despite how smart of a boy he is. After that, Four Eyes needed feeding. I got her some food together. Dropped it off. There was some ambrosia nearby. That brings good money and gives a fella a good buzz, so I ran out and grabbed some of that. I was still starving though, so I ran back in to get some food, and then I was back to the ambrosia. I got all that harvested and then hauled. Didn't want to leave it around for that turtle to eat. About that time, Four Eyes got up. She was fully recovered, and she took off, happy as could be, feeling great. So I felt good for her. Done something well for a change. I was working with my muffalo to see if I could get him tamed up, and then I decided I was right back to research, which needs to be my focus around here. Felt like I was getting quite adept at most everything I work on. These muffalo need constant attention with the milking and the training, so periodically I'd take a break from my research to do that. The base is quite a mess. Wasn't much I was going to be able to do about it. I was trying to focus my best on getting some research done, and I was making good progress. Once in a while, a man does have to sleep though, so about 11 p.m. I was off to bed. I was running a little short on food. I got 2 animals come down with sickness, of course. These animals are more trouble than they're worth, in all honesty. Constantly dealing with them. Maybe I should just leave some medicine near the animals since they seem to get sick. I guess it's better than me. I'd rather they have the plague than I do. That's for dang certain. So I got the animals tended, fed, and then it was time for some food. Good old pemmican, which I was starting to run a little low on. And I decided after that food, this home needs a real thorough cleaning. What I wouldn't give for a magical cleaning device. About that time, the sick alpaca needed treatment again. I guess he was hungry. I had to run on out there, stuff some food down his face. And then one of my traps had been kicked off. All kinds of little critters running through, rats and whatnot. I worked with my muffalo, failed training it once again. I do not have good luck with these animals, that's for sure. I feel like I'm rather skilled, but apparently not skilled enough. Some fella called me, asking for help being chased. At this time, I declined, being that I need to get some research done, and I had sick animals. So I focused on research as much as I could. Once again, occasionally stopping for food to deal with these plague-ridden critters, muffalo that need attention. I don't want them to go back to the wild on me, so I have to stay on top of it. About 8 o'clock, I was off to bed. I got a quest. Somebody needed some help, offering some pretty awesome items in exchange. However, it wasn't meant to be. I gotta focus on what I had to focus on here, not be running around trying to collect things. Got myself a beer, dealt with an animal, was back to research. I was thinking about that quest in the back of my head. It wasn't very close though. There was a lot of mountainous, junky terrain, and my pemmican stocks are running rather low. Plus, there's these sick alpacas to deal with. I was debating on just putting them out of their misery, but at some point here, I'd like to move on, and I had all kinds of crap I might want to take. I suspect the 2 muffalo will be sufficient. As I was researching, that thought did occur to me, so maybe I'll sell these alpaca or something. Had a jade meteor crash down nearby as well. There was still a silver one, just waiting to be mined out. I was pretty wealthy in terms of silver at this point, but a little more wouldn't hurt. I'd like to buy some kind of fancy arms or legs for myself. See if I can get past this humanity thing. Sort out something nice for myself. So I researched. Occasionally milked the buffalo. Occasionally did some cleaning as well. I have to keep this research room clean. Speeds up my job. Not having dust and crap in what I'm working on. A turkey self-tamed around that time. Decided I was going to butcher that bad boy. And cook them up just like Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving on the rim. Be a nice day. I was off to bed though. And when I woke up, I took that turkey out. And then I sat down to research. That was when I figured out how to deal with microelectronics, which felt pretty awesome indeed. Critters were in need. Some food. So I made a bunch of kibble at that point. And decided I'd better get myself a bunch of food made as well. I had a beer, which probably isn't the best move before you start cooking yourself a bunch of food. Don't need to be drunk. But, whatever. So I cooked, and I cooked. Occasionally cleaning. This kitchen gets dirty, despite the clean, sterile floors. And I finally found some time to relax, take a little minute to myself. Although it seems like quite the zoo over here. All these animals milling about, spreading their filth. I built myself an orbital trade beacon and a comms console. It was high time. Had to get some power run to them bad boys as well. At this point, I could have some traders from space come visiting, which sounds pretty insane to a guy like me, but while sleeping that night, a whole bunch of blight struck. My plants are all sick, as well as my animals now. I feel like somebody out there just doesn't like me. It's more than a little frustrating. So I was running around trying to get my comms console finished, my trade beacon done, in case there was any trade ships overhead. And then I decided I better get to dealing with these plants that were blighted. Last thing I need, my whole crop to go down. I was already short on vegetables, didn't have any. And my corn wasn't looking the best, so I cut out all that blight, and I set to replant it all. Say I lost over half of each of my crops. I did get a bunch of alpaca wool though, so that's a bonus I guess. If I could get Hamlet to haul it in, which turns out I could, but he just can't carry that much since he's not that big of a little dude. Alright, I had some pemmican. I worked with the alpaca. I had some success in training it. Then I decided it was time to do some mining. I was real short on steel. My traps got kicked off. I could be in trouble fast. So I mined for a little bit. Then I was off to bed. When I woke up, there was a buffalo that needed milking, and I needed some feeding. And I got back to research. Decided I was going to work on some guns, get some gun turrets built. I was going to protect myself in the long term. That might be one of the last things I need. So I had a beer. Sat down to research for a spell. My brain was a little slow after swilling all that beer. And by then, some of my crops were coming in. I had corn ready. All kinds of hay grass for the animals. And I was hungry. I never get through too much without having to stop and have a meal. Turns out, I got the corn brought in. Also brought the hay grass in. There was quite a bit of it. I didn't want it to get wet, rotten, go to waste. So I brought that in for the animals. And then I was off to bed. Hamlet was already snoring. When I woke up, pemmican was on the list, followed by the usual morning cleaning job. Seems like that does get old. Takes a lot of time. Then I decided to have some ambrosia. I'd nabbed it all. Why not get to enjoy it? While doing that, lightning struck nearby, started a big fire, but it was raining pretty heavy, so I wasn't terribly concerned with it. Finished harvesting all the hay grass, and then I replanted all the hay grass and corn that I'd taken out during the blight and the harvests. Everything replanted. It's time to train a muffalo, for which I had some success for once. Decided I was going to stop making kibble at this point, since these critters have so much hay grass around. Hamlet, he's welcome to go in, eat whatever he wants. He loves to swallow a dead rat whole, and I don't mind so much if he wants to do that. I sat down to research for a bit, but then it occurred to me, if I don't get some mining done, I'm going to be in bad shape come the next time some jerks try to take my home from me. It's like prehistoric times over here. No peace, people trying to come up and kill you, burn your house down. Tell ya, this planet's one heck of a mess. I built myself a lamp. I was going to use that for mining, torch lamp. But for now, I was back to bed. When I woke up, mining was on the agenda. And mining and mining and mining. Hamlet was helping out, hauling stuff away. While mining, a big old pack of Yorkshire Terriers showed up. Pissed off as it gets, trying to attack me. They were out for blood, but I wasn't terribly worried, since they can't really get inside. So, feeling pretty safe from these jerks, although they were bashing on my steel door pretty good. I was getting a little nervous about that. Decided maybe I'd better get on over there and repair some of those doors. Some of those little guys had died on my traps. I forbade my doors, so I wouldn't forget and go outside. Then I did some repairs on them. Didn't need these jerks knocking them down. It was about that time. Hamlet went outside. He must have heard all the barking and got excited or something. So Hamlet went outside, and now all these Yorkshire Terriers came running on in. I had gotten a panic all of a sudden. They were trying to bash my door down. So I stood over there shooting them, hoping I didn't hit Hamlet. And then all the Yorkies were down or dead. It was a real bloodbath. Yorkshire Terriers everywhere. I felt bad. I thought about rescuing one, but if he was rabid or something, I couldn't have that spreading to the rest of my animals. So I had to let him lay. Sadly, there's a bunch of traps that needed to rebuild now, but I did have a bunch of steel since I'd been on top of the mining for once. And there was a whole bunch of Yorkshire Terrier bodies laying around. I wasn't going to let them go to waste. If I was going to eat rat, you better believe I'd eat Yorkshire Terrier. By then, though, I was tired. That was a stressful day. Fortunately, them dogs didn't take after and attack Hamlet. Maybe he could have trained them up, made them a bunch of good boys. But they seemed pretty intent on killing me. When I woke up, it was cleaning and pemmican, followed by tossing some horseshoes once again. In my zoo, man, these critters just run around like mad. Still half tempted to get rid of these alpaca. If I get desperate for meat, you better rest assured these fellas aren't going to last too long. I hauled in all the Yorkie bodies. Then I decided to rebuild my traps. Next time, I'm going to get Hamlet trained up not to go on outside when there's a whole pack of animals out there trying to kill me. But it wasn't his fault, and I don't hold it against him. So I rebuilt traps. It's pretty much my day. Hauling steel. Building those bad boys. Got them all almost done. There was one left. And it felt good to accomplish something. Except the research, which I've been needing to do. After that, I was tuckered out. 10 o'clock. I was off to bed. By 4 a.m. I was awake again. having pemmican, watching cargo pods fly out of the sky. Looked like a bunch of meals laying in the dirt. I wasn't willing to risk getting sick again. I've had too much sickness around here. The freezer is just stacked full of Yorkie bodies, which is pretty gruesome. I'm not sure how Hamlet feels about that, being that they're all doggos, but meh, it is what it is. I had more chunks of spacecraft falling out of the sky, and I was trying to tame up these muffalo that were losing their tameness. In the end, I decided to heck with it all. I'm just going to sit here and have some ambrosia. I'm feeling pretty stressed out. There's too much going on. High time I got rid of some animals is my plan. Then I can cut back on hay grass. Once I get a decent stockpile of that, don't have to worry about feeding these animals so much. And I was contemplating all this while I was mining up that silver. Surrounded by friendly animals, of course. Hamlet's always helping out, hauling that silver for me. Pretty much whatever I do, he's out there helping out, that guy. I got most of the silver done. Then I was off to bed. It had been a long day, just swinging that pickaxe. By morning, all the ambrosia nearby was ready to be plucked again. So I got on top of that. And then between Hamlet and I, we got it all hauled in as well. Decided not to refuel my torch that I was going to use for mining. Not for the minute anyway. I let the whole thing burn out while I wasn't mining steel near it, so I guess it was time at this point. All them stupid Yorkies destroying my traps cost me a fair amount of my remaining steel. I ran on in, had some pemmican, then I ran on out to mine some steel. That was gonna be a busy day, just mining away. Caravan showed up at that point, and that was pretty awesome. I had all kinds of crap I'd like to get rid of around here, so I ran on over to talk to him. I was getting rid of beer, ambrosia, a bunch of clothes I don't need, some weapons I don't need that I've been taking off people. And that was that. I got a bunch of gold. Wasn't really a lot that I needed. They didn't have anything fancy, super cool. Bunch of tribal people, really. But that's okay. I was happy they visited. I was a little upset that they keep coming on in making a mess in my house. But they heard I had a nice guest room. While sleeping yet, somebody was being chased. They phoned me up to see if I could help them out, and I thought about it. If that caravan hadn't buggered off yet, they'd probably take care of the problem for me. But that's alright. Don't want to get them people angry with me. God knows I got enough people trying to kill me here. I was tossing horseshoes, having a decent time. Decided this old junky research bench is going to have to go. It's high time I built something fancier. I built a high-tech one. Good thing I'd been mining out all that steel, because I was going to need it. I was milking muffalo, building this high-tech research bench. There was still silver, still some steel. I had ship chunks everywhere. In the interest of having some more components ready and some steel, decided I was going to break them down. I hauled all the stuff to make the high-tech research bench. This has speed up my research quite a bit. While I was doing that, a heat wave struck. Shouldn't be the end of the world, though. Might have to get myself some more appropriate clothes, but otherwise I'm sure I'll be just fine. So I broke down the ship chunks. When I got all the components hauled in, Hamlet helped with some of the steel. Never go wrong with a good dog, tell you that. He could be a little more vicious when people are attacking me, that's for sure. But I'm not going to complain. At least he doesn't get hurt. I was off to bed, and then I woke up at 2 a.m., just starving. Decided to do some cleaning as well at that point. My mining torch was still burning, so I decided perhaps I'd do the last of that mining. And I disassembled my torch as well, so as not to leave something laying around out there. And then I worked on getting some of that hauled in. When I got back inside, decided it was time to chill out, just enjoy my space, despite the mess. And despite having this here comms console, I hadn't had a single call yet from anybody. But I'm sure it's just a matter of time. After that, it was back to the silver. I'd like to get that mined out. And with Hamlet's help hauling it, I did get it mined out. Built a bunch more graves, seeing as a bunch of them over here had been destroyed when that silver meteor came down. I didn't see any evidence of the bodies as I was digging, and that's a good thing. A fella does not like to see a rotting corpse. So I sat down, continued my research project. The room was clean. The research was progressing nicely. There was a little bit of dirt under my doors, which I cleaned up, and then I was off to bed. One of my alpaca gave birth that night. Tiny little baby alpaca running around. Great. One more mouth to feed. One more thing to have to train all the time. And then when I woke up, it was 4 a.m. again. My batteries were draining out quick, so I couldn't really do any research. It appears the wind had just been real dead for a long time, or else I was using way too much power. And there's some dead bodies laying around yet, and I decided to haul them on in and bury them, seeing as I had some empty graves. All my guests that come by end up having to look at these dead people. Nobody likes that. When I got back in, decided to research. I was also sick of these power issues, so I was going to rip up all these dirty old wooden floors, put down a bunch of concrete, and build another wind turbine. Seeing as my power's always flickering, as soon as I got going on the floors, a raid showed up. 7 people, reasonably well armed as well. Not sure what I'm going to do about that, but given how many people they are, how much gear they have, I decided I'd better suit up in my fancy armor, go on out there and give them the business. Before I did that, garden coffee was in order. Nothing like fighting when you're a little bit jazzed up. Had some battle fat going here, so wasn't sure where they were going to try and come at me. But regardless, I decided to leave my doors open to my traps. See if I could get a bunch of these schmucks killed. So they were milling about, just wasting time, somewhere down to the south. And that's about the time I decided to sneak up on them. Although, it's kind of hard to sneak up in power armor when you sound like RoboCop or something. Sneaking through the trees, the berry bushes, trying to get a bead on them. I shot one of them a couple times, and they started shooting back. I killed one of them, and they were all upset to see him die. They were shooting at me. I decided to take off again. Not before they shot me, though. Right in the torso, I caught a bruise from a revolver, which was most unfortunate. I decided to hang out and shoot, though. I didn't feel any blood coming off me, and a little bruise ain't gonna stop me. I killed another one, and I got shot a few more times. Twice, in fact. One of them had some kind of exploding weapon. My right fourth toe got shot clean off my foot, which I was most upset by. This power armor, turns out, does not protect your feet very well. And I was bleeding, and they had started a fire. Things are getting a little bit out of hand here. I'd killed a couple of them, though, and I was looking to take out another. Their armor was about 10 times as effective as mine. I was shooting at another fella, caught him square in the head, blasted him right in the jaw. My abilities a little bit reduced. I killed him. He dropped some drugs. So that was the third one down. The rest of them decided at that point they were going to come on and attack me. I wasn't moving too fast, given the weight of all this power armor. The fact that I'd lost my toe and my foot was in extreme pain. I decided to stand around and shoot. She was running up on me with something. Looked like a knife. But when she went down, all the rest of them jerks decided to run off. Which is pretty great. I wasn't going to have to rebuild traps. The one with the exploding incendiary gun thing, he'd gone down. The other two, there was no way I was going to catch them as they ran off. They had left me a bunch of weapons. People are always on the lookout for weapons on this planet. After the battle, the first thing I had to do was get some food in me. Despite my injuries not being treated. It's the best I could do, though. I was pretty crabby, not having any food. I was just going to let them bodies lay for now. If they burnt up, so much the better. If I end up having to go bury them, well, it is what it is. Well, while I got back, I was just dropping off the weapons. Some kind of crazy robot showed up and decided he was going to attack me next. I can't catch a break around here. But I was going to have to treat myself and hope this robot died on my traps. Hope it wasn't one of them big fat buggers again that I had to deal with last time. I wasn't even sure where that robot had gotten off to. I was crabby as could be. Sure enough, the robot died on my traps. Apparently, one of his buddies died on the traps on the other side of my place. My right fourth toe being shot off. More than a little bit of a hassle. That was going to slow me down. Keep me from being as effective as I otherwise would when I'm running around here trying to deal with all these schmucks that are always trying to kill me. So that was unfortunate. I was pretty crabby. Feeling pretty well wounded as well. I decided to take off my armor. My helmet's already getting pretty worn out. And I was going to need this later on. So I went to bed with blood on my shirt. And my right fourth toe shot right off. More of a hassle than it should be. The fire that person had started down south was raging pretty well. But otherwise everything was alright. During the night, I was fully healed. And some fella named Steven came crashing out of the sky. He was bleeding pretty good, wiggling around like a madman. I decided I better get dressed. He doesn't want me trying to rescue him with my twig and berries hanging out, probably. So I put on some pants and a coat, ate some food, and then I was off to rescue Steven. Maybe if I'd rescue some people that are local here, instead of all these space refugees, then they'd be a little more friendly with me. But for the minute, turns out when I get attacked, everybody always dies. There's nobody to nurse back to health, send back home, tell them what a good guy I am. After that, Steven got treated. I was working on the floors around my power turbines once again. I got a prisoner rescue quest. However, it wasn't going to be too likely to get to that anytime soon. Power was flickering, my batteries were out. So I decided maybe the wind turbine is next. If I could get that next one turning over, maybe I'd have enough power to keep the lights on around here. Didn't need Steven freezing to death or sweating himself into a stupor. I was still upset about my toe being blown off, but contemplating what I could do about that. Steven had some ideas. He said he's seen some crazy bionics, even some kind of futuristic bionic items. He claims they look like a real leg, and you can even feel with them, just like a real leg, yet they're way stronger, way tougher, and way faster. So I'm going to ask around and see if I can find what he's talking about. But he could just be joshing me. Seems like he's in pretty rough shape, as far as I'm concerned. I did some cleaning after playing a little chess. Ran on out. Looks like some coffee had fallen out of the sky. And since I am a fan of that, dragged it on inside. It was dark, it was raining, but it was what it was. So I got that on inside, and then I was off to bed. I checked on Steven at some point. Looked like he's gonna need to be fed. Turns out, so did I. Steven was capable of walking by about that time. That was good. I hope he would just want to ride off, rather than get the idea to join me. So despite it being 3 in the morning, I got to work. Working on my ground outside. Well, I hate to cover all this grass and plants. Concrete, but better than dealing with cutting plants all the time. Item stash quest came through. As I was sleeping, Hamlet was hauling the wood in. And another day is gone. And made some progress. I got my trade ship beacons up. I could talk to people far away. I was gonna have to rebuild some walls, keep them insects out down below where I'd mined out all that steel. Otherwise, life was going well. Steven was healing. My toe was blown off. It certainly could have been better in that regard. Steven was still in pretty bad shape. But Hamlet seemed happy, running around hauling stuff, being a good boy. Another day was done.